Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ohio State Primetime Live. I'm your co-host Ryan Stano.
I'm Garrison Gaddy.
Well, Garrison, we've launched some memberships since our last show.
Yep.
Just wanted to shout out to the people who've already joined with their membership, but I know you've got a little bit more news on that front, so go ahead and share with the people.
Yeah, for sure, everyone. Guys, if you go on there, first off, you don't have to do this, but we would truly appreciate if you did. If you do it, there are perks that come with it. We have our tiers. The JT wasn't short, the Block O Club, and also we don't give a damn. You know the rest. So check it out, guys. It's right on the page. If you click the join button, you'll see it there. And then we'll be adding content as we go. Probably bringing the brigade there eventually, and then also some other things. Whether it be me doing content, Ryan doing content, Mike, Terry, whoever. So yeah, just check it out and join the community.
Yeah, we're doing some cool stuff over here. Would love if you could help support us. And, we want to build a big Ohio State community that's more of like an Ohio State family. So that's kind of what we're going for here. Speaking of Ohio State family, let's just go ahead and get something out of the way here. So before we delve in deeper into what was happening actually on the field at the Woody, there was some drama that happened off the field.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something going on, and there were some wild rumors and accusations thrown out that a couple of the members of the Ohio State beat had actually taken $25,000 away basically from Caleb Downs in an NIL deal. The allegation was that he went ahead, they basically pocketed $20,000 of the dollars that were supposed to go to Caleb Downs and gave him only $5,000. And look, I have to be careful with what I say because I know more than what has been publicly acknowledged.
Hey, Ryan, we're same here.
Yeah. And everyone is going to go ahead and get the full story probably Wednesday. That's what I've been told. Mm-hmm. So go ahead, add what you want to add, and then I'll kind of go from there.
So first of all, I want to say, dude, look, it does suck. I know, like, my dad has been a long time fan of their show. I have been, so it does kind of suck that they're not there anymore.
Yeah.
At first, it was like it's kind of hard to believe, and then eventually I was just like, I don't know if I even believe that. It's just too, because it's hard for me to believe.
Yeah.
That Burma Ward would put themselves in a position to do something like that to Caleb Downs, a very important player in Ohio State, right?
Yeah.
But then, I'm trying to think of what I can say. So
yeah, that's why I let you take the lead here.
So, all right, because my guy, he sent me things that I could say. It's off the record, but some of the things, I guess I can say this. I won't name the company. Mm-hmm. There's what they were being fired. Well, fired. What they got fired for was taking on money, supposedly, allegedly, mm-hmm. from a watch company who actually sponsors someone very important at Ohio State. And they they wore a watch on the show. Now, where it gets kind of interesting or confusing is that from what I have heard, there was no funds given to them while. I'm tracking correct. I'm treading lightly here. I'm treading lightly.
As you should. Again, just to be clear, all of these are allegations. Nothing's been proven in a court of law. We got to say that, so don't come after us.
Yeah, please don't, guys. I'm telling you is not facts. What I'm being told, but I think I'm able to trust this source. So none of the money was given to them while they were still doing this show, but the owner of the show, they believe that they're, I guess you could say, kind of scammed or schemed out of some money, I guess you could say. But from what I have heard, that money had not been given to them yet. But the problem is when you go out there, you show the watch on the show, and you say the company's name. But the problem is that what's confusing. Like I said, confusing is that none of the funds have been given. Now, there's a lot of other things that I've been told. I'm sure Ryan's been told the same thing, and that I'm not comfortable with even like something. He told me I could say it off record, and I read it. And I said I'm still not even comfortable saying all that. Not because I don't believe him, just very cautious about it. So that's what we've been hearing. Like it's tough. So
this is something that should be approached with caution as far as everything goes.
Mm-hmm.
I can say this. It seems unequivocally true, based on what I've been told, that at no point did anybody take money from Ohio State football players. Like, there was no NIL money taken. So
that was a nasty, disgusting rumor. That was a disgusting rumor.
Yes, and the person who made that up, and went ahead and spread that on social media, that's you said it best. That's nasty work. That's something you really can't be doing. Now, that's not to say they're totally there's going to be some issues. Let's just put it that way. And I feel like that's pretty much all we need to go ahead and cover about that topic. That, people will go ahead and learn, like I said, the full story on Wednesday from what I have been told, and people can go ahead and make their own judgments from that. I'll say this. If it would have been anything remotely close to like taking NIL money from Ohio State football players, both of them also would have been canned from the jobs that they still have. Like that would have kept them from ever working the Ohio State beat again. So, it's good that something like that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go ahead and move on to stuff that actually happened on the field.
Just for a disclaimer.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want you guys to know, me and Ryan are not taking any money from Ohio State players. I want, just so we're clear here.
No, you're not. Yeah, can be 100%. I can 100% unequivocally say that. That is a fact. So let's get to what actually happened on the field. And over the weekend, Ohio State held their annual Student Appreciation Day, in which the students could go ahead and watch practice. And it was open to all the media as well. So it was a good opportunity for fans and media alike to see what this Ohio State football team looks like at this point. And they got to see the quarterbacks. And that's what everyone has been talking about over the last couple of days, is what the quarterbacks did and how they performed. And your boy, Lincoln Kienholz, went ahead and apparently lit it up over what Julian Sayin was able to show on the field. He was the performer of the day from the quarterback position. And it sounds like, based off of what Ryan Day said afterwards, it sounds like this competition is truly that. It is a competition. He was quoted as saying the competition is neck and neck. So, and again, he also said the same thing when it was between McCord and Devin Brown. McCord ended up winning that job. And while it did officially take 2 games into the regular season for him to name him that starter for the rest of the year, I think we all kind of thought that's how it was going to play out. So, there's a chance he's just kind of blowing some smoke at Julian Sayin to try to get him a little bit motivated to kind of take that job. But at the same time, your performance on the field kind of speaks to how you've been playing. So what are your thoughts on the reports that came out, about the quarterback specifically over the weekend?
Well, Ryan, you know me. I am someone who loves to take victory laps. I harken back to when I asked, do you think Lincoln has a real chance? with Lincoln's athleticism, if he's close up there, man, do you play him? Because Julian's not. And mind you, I do want to point this out. I'm not worried about Julian. If you ask me still to today, I would tell you Julian Sayin is probably going to be the starter for the Ohio State Buckeyes. I still believe in him. I think he's highly talented. Now they did say, when guys get in his face, man, it's a little struggle. Threw a pick to Jermaine. Shout out to Maine.
Yeah.
Heard that he almost threw a pick to Aaron Scott, but or I won't say threw a pick to Aaron Scott. Aaron Scott almost picked him off.
I say Aaron Scott had a pretty good move based on what I saw.
Yeah, and so I still believe he has the talent, but doggone it, man. I've said it before, and I'm gonna say it again. It's hard for me to believe, like whatever I saw in that game against Missouri, I don't give a damn. Don't care about it. I throw it out. Hey, I don't care. It's impossible for me to believe that over the span of 3 years, because we already knew that he was a developmental project from the time he came to Ohio State. Even with him being the 15th quarterback in his class and a 4-star, which is pretty decent coming from where he's from. But I was like, man, this kid was the national Gatorade High School athlete of the year. He was that. Ryan Day said that the ball's popping out of his arm. His skill set as a passer has developed, and it was impossible for me to believe over 3 years that couldn't happen. And honestly, I'm happy that this is a real competition. And you're right, and Ryan, you are completely correct. This could be Ryan Day blowing smoke. This could be. I don't think it is. I don't. And also Ryan Day, usually quarterback competitions for him don't end until damn near the season starts. But I truly believe this is what Ohio State, the team needs. I think the competition is gonna push both these players. I'm happy that Tavian's not in this. Now he did get some first team snaps, but I don't believe he needs to be in this competition at all. We had a space this weekend, and it was me, Mike, and Terry, and Terry and Cam, and shout out to Cam. He kept talking about how if they would prefer Tavian St. Clair starting if Julian Sayin got hurt, knock on wood. And I said, you must be out of your rabbit ass. Dude, there's no way. And also what I did love, and I want to talk to you about this also, because I want to get your thoughts on this, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Day said this is the first time he's ever let his quarterbacks go live. The first time. And I think he did that because he wanted to test Julian. What we saw a play where Julian got, tried to run up the middle, stopped him on a 4th and goal. But I think he did that because he wants to see. I think he's trying to test Julian and say, "Hey, we know what Lincoln can do right here. Hell, we know what Tavia can do. Do you have the balls to go out and do it?" And so, what do you think about that?
I think it's interesting because he is someone. Day is someone who has talked about wanting to, at least coming into the season, he talked about how he wanted to protect his players, essentially. That's the whole reason why he didn't commit to a spring game right away. He basically wanted to make sure that there was going to be no injury and that the guys who played, who are part of having the longest season in college football history, that they were going to get some rest. And he even talked about it today, is what he's realizing now is the guys need more reps. He mentioned, he said, he joked, he's like, yeah, I'm going to call the NCAA, try to see if I can get 5 more weeks of spring ball. And it's because, he thinks some of these younger guys need reps. And honestly, I know Lincoln's not young, but that includes him. Like, he wants to see more reps from him. Julian definitely falls in that category. Like, he's a guy who needs reps, especially these first team reps. Mm-hmm. And I think him going live with the quarterbacks, I don't necessarily know if it's him trying to gauge the toughness of him necessarily, but it is, honestly, I think it's more of a, okay, I know what Lincoln can do in a live game situation because he did that while I watched him get pulverized against Missouri, but at least I've seen it. Let's see how Julian does against one of the best defenses in the country as well, our own. And I want to see how he responds. And while the Saturday was not his best performance, But like you, I still believe Sayin will ultimately win the starting job once the fall rolls around. However, I do got to give you some credit because this job is a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Like Lincoln has balled out. And honestly, that's what you want to see. You want to see these two guys push each other. You don't want it to see it be I don't necessarily want it to see it be a lopsided effort when it's two guys who haven't really taken meaningful college football snaps.
Right. Yeah, I brought this up. Like, I love this quote. I've never heard this quote before. Sage, were you in the Marine Corps? Just curious, because I was in the Navy, but it says the more you sweat in peace, the less you bleed in war. It's pretty badass, actually.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think, well, I guess I'll ask you this. With the spring game coming up next weekend, who do you think gets more first-team reps in that game, Sayin or Kienholz? Or do you think he splits them evenly?
You got to give them equal reps. You got to give them
agreed.
equal reps. The same amount. I'll be quite frank with you. I don't care to see Tavian that day. I'm so honest. I don't care to see Tavian that day. Now he's gonna have the when I say I don't care to see him, I mean he's not a factor to me. Now my deepest fear is that one of these two guys transferring out if they don't win the job. Which is also why I don't think I think Ryan Day's gonna wait to say anything until he has a sprint. And listen, is it dirty? Sure. Do I care? No, Ryan, please, for the love of God, do that. Don't let anybody transfer out.
Well, I think I mentioned this to you on Thursday. I think if they believe that Sayin is actually going to win the job and Lincoln doesn't have a shot, I think he will tell them before the spring portal opens, just to be fair to him. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. It doesn't seem like there's a clear winner at this point. So I don't think either one of them is going to transfer out. Now, at the end of next year, I do think one of them will. Just because, especially, I mean, in either case, because if Lincoln wins, because if Lincoln wins the job, then all of a sudden you've got Tavian St. Clair, who's been in the offense for another year as a homegrown kid, and he's quite frankly he's more physically impressive than Sayin is. So he's got a shot to win the job. And then on the flip side, if it's Sayin who wins the job, Kienholz, hey, I've been here 3 years, I haven't seen the field, I need to go see the field. And either case, I would understand it. So
I have more question.
Okay.
What percent chance do you think right now Lincoln has of starting?
If I had to put a number on it, I would say probably 25%. Which is a lot higher than what I had before the spring. So that's probably where I would lean. And that could go higher after Saturday, depending on how he does in the spring game. What about you?
35. I'll go 35.
Oh, okay. So you're higher. All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say 40, but I'm around 35. Like I said, I'm still a believer in Julian. It's not. And I mean, for me personally, I don't care who the quarterback is.
You don't care?
No, I don't care. I said this last year. I don't care who the quarterback is. This is all you got to do for me. You win that game on the last weekend in November, and you win the national championship. You win me a Big Ten championship. That's all I need you to do. That's all I need you to do. So
okay. Well, the quarterback last year only did one of those things. He only did one of those things. It was the biggest one. It was the most important one, but he only did one of those things.
By the way, did you watch him and Gruden?
I put an article. The article got published about 10 minutes ago. Yes, I saw it. That
was a great watch.
Let's go ahead and I will address that here briefly. Comparing him to Josh Allen is wild. Let's
talk about the size.
Okay, but and he's like, oh, and you're mobile too. You're like a younger Josh Allen. Let's hit the brakes, John Gruden. Chill out. Josh Allen just won the league MVP. Come on, man. You can't look. I love me some Will Howard, but you cannot be doing that. That's irresponsible.
No, so I am in the process of trying to find a Will Howard statue or face bust, a miniature one. If I can find a Craig Krenzel one too, that'd be nice. I'm only getting champions, only quarterback champions. I love CJ is my GOAT. He's my GOAT.
He's not my GOAT.
Ooh, Troy?
It's someone who can actually beat Michigan. So
that's not his.
Oh, really? That's not his fault.
I don't blame any of those losses against him. We can debate that. We can talk about that another day.
We'll table that discussion. I know we've got a list of stuff to get through here, so we'll table that for later. So some other things that we want to talk about. I want to talk about recruiting right now, and then we can go ahead and swing back to some other things. But the recruiting class is really starting to heat up, and we've talked about how we talked about Ohio State was able to grab the number 1 safety in the country, and then they went ahead and grabbed another safety in Simeon Gladwell. We talked about how Tyler Bowen's been really good on the offensive line so far, but all of a sudden it sounds like Matt G might have another safety recruit incoming. He might grab the top 2 safeties in the class, which is nuts. So it sounds like not only is Ohio State going to get Blaine Bradford, who is the number 1 safety recruit in the country, who's already committed, they also might be getting the number 2 safety in the country, which is Braylon Womack. He is 5'11", 195 pounds. He is from the state of Mississippi, 5-star guy. And to me, if they do go ahead and land Womack, like if he ends up being someone who comes into Columbus, that tells me that they're going to go ahead and move Gladwell to linebacker, or at least that's what they see his future at, because taking 3 safeties in this class, especially 2 that are 5-star kids, and the other guy's a top 100 kid too, that would surprise me to have that much competition at one specific position would surprise me. Give me your thoughts on Womack.
First off, Womack is a really good. First off, we'll start with a really good athlete, as most of these kids are.
Yeah,
but he plays position very well. For me, it has more to do with this. His coverage skills are at a high level. I think he would literally right now. I think with having him and Bradford, or Blaine, I think that they're exactly what you would want at Ohio State right now. Where I think Bradford more plays position of what Caleb Downs could do, play up a little bit more. Where Womack is a guy that you can put back in the in 1/3, like in a cover 3/3, right? Mm-hmm. He has really good coverage skills. But on the recruiting side, man, let me give you your kudos, because early on, man, when we first started this, you were early on about talking about Matt Gary. You were early on that, and then time goes and we hear what Ryan Day says. I'm like, okay, that's just. I've heard this before already from Ryan, but I'm sitting here watching.
Alike.
Man, but I'm sitting here watching.
He's good.
No, yeah, he's good.
The area so far, what he's done already, it's been impressive. I'll just leave it at that. And if he can land Womack as well, I mean, great.
and on top of that, my God, his name is slipping me right now. But he just signed. He's probably gonna move down to linebacker. But
Gladwell, yeah.
Gladwell, thank you. Like it's
Simeon Gladwell.
Yeah, this is really impressive. And the chances are, man, I think this. What number would you put right now, percentage wise, that we're getting one? I'm probably somewhere around like 80.
Of what? Of getting Womack?
Yes, the verbal commit.
I would say 75. And if they do, then Caldwell, Simeon Caldwell definitely move into linebacker just based off of size and the way he plays. That would be my guess. And perhaps that's what they sold him on anyway. They were telling him, hey, look, we've got Blaine Bradford here. He's going to come in. He's a safety we really like. We think he could play more of a Caleb Downs type of role. And we're also, there's a good chance we get this Braylon kid as well. Mm-hmm. And we see you as someone who can also make an impact on the field, but at the linebacker position where you can play more downhill and also drop back into coverage when needed. So maybe that's what they sold him on in the first place. I don't know. But I do think that they've got a good shot at laying Womack.
Dude, just on a bigger scale, right? Like I guess a broader view.
Mm-hmm.
What Ryan Day has done with this coaching staff, not just so much on the on the coaching side of it, because we still got to see some things, right? We still got to see Tyler Bowen. We still, Patricia. Even with some of the gripes we have about Larry Johnson, there is not a position on this team that I am not confident recruiting at. There isn't. Because I said it on Twitter or X, and someone said Johnson, and I said, bro, at the end of the day, these kids, he probably isn't doing what George is doing, but there's 136 programs. About 130 of them aren't recruiting on the D line like Larry Johnson is still.
Yep.
And I'm really impressed with what he's done. Again, guys like Matt Guerrieri, does he have the privilege, I guess you could say, of being under Coach Walt? Sure. But the cool thing is that Coach Walt has a different job now. He's the co-defensive coordinator. Someone had to pick up the mantle, and he did it quick and in a hurry. Yeah, it's just so impressive, man. I don't know what to say about it.
Well, yeah, both him and Walton have done a fantastic job of recruiting since they brought him in, and that's really all. I mean, I'd also love to give Guerrieri some props for his coaching on the field, but I mean, Caleb Downs was a specimen, and he got to coach him in his first full year as an Ohio State coach. So that's that's right. Pretty good. I am very intrigued to see what he does with either Jalen or Malik back there next to Caleb.
All right, I was going to ask, when was the last time you saw? Who's the last Mississippi recruit to come to Ohio State?
I was trying to think about that because I saw that comment come through.
Mm-hmm. Richie says one. Richie, who is it?
And I'm trying to think. I'm
gonna be honest, man.
Well, you know what? It's actually that's interesting. So it does look like there was one player from the state of Mississippi that not one, but there, according to 11 Warriors, did this a year ago. The best player from every state. It looks like there was only one player from Mississippi, and it was Craig Robinson, tight end, and he played in the 1990 season, and that was it.
No idea, dude. I'll just.
Yeah, I don't know who that is either, but was a while ago. So, yeah, they don't. I mean, quite frankly, Mississippi isn't exactly a very talent-rich state when it comes to recruiting, even though they are in the South. It seems like all the other states around them kind of get that, high-end talent. So, that's why Ohio State doesn't go down there that much.
Oh.
So, Ohio State now, after adding the guys that they did, they now have a top 5 recruiting class again. And I think right now they're currently ranked 3rd. So, This is, and we talked about this in one of the shows, this is the standard. Ryan Day should be signing a top 5 class every single year. And that's what he's done so far, and he's doing it again. So it's very early. Again, we have talked about how you really can't assume that a lot of these kids are going to stay in today's NIL era. You just hold your breath until December when they actually sign on the dotted line.
Repeat that last part. I missed that.
Like it's hard for them to. I'm holding my breath until December until they sign on the dotted line. Like just.
Oh yeah, no man. What is that?
In the NIL era.
Like I feel that way even about any recruit that I see come from Florida, like a place like Florida. Boy, I never trust it. I wait for it because there's proven put in the pudding. That kids from Florida, they'll flip in a hurry, bro. They will flip in a hurry. So
yeah. And I mean,
I'm right with you.
Yeah, and I remember a couple of years ago when they were, trying to sign Jeremiah. Ryan Day, fell to his knees during the press conference when the news finally came that his
don't say that. Don't say that.
Facts came in. He did. He basically he's like, oh, thank God we got him. As Miami made a hard push there at the end. So, so far the recruiting class looks good, and I'm interested to see what else they can do as far as letting some of these blue chip recruits, including Womack. We've talked about Jackson Cantwell. There's some other guys out there that they are also trying to grab, and I'm going to be interested to see if they're actually going to be able to land them.
Mm-hmm. Well, I want to give a shout out to my favorite guys, Kinetic and Maze Madman. Now, and let's get two things. If you're gonna talk about my guys, make sure you spell the Dakota Heisman's name right. There's no T in there. I think I goes first.
Also, yes, the ice.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, what is that? Was that a German name?
Kienholz sound probably.
Yeah, it's something like that. But no, listen, man. Like I'm not saying I don't think Ryan and I think Kienholz is the answer. I don't think Kienholz is the answer. I don't think, and be quite honest with you, I mean, with the talent we have, I mean, we're not like you guys in the position you are where you need the quarterback to be the answer. We're not in that position. Because like I told Ryan, I told me the other day, we don't keep salesmen and accountants at our quarterback. We keep actual football players in there. So
that's true.
And Richie Rail, they plan on taking three safeties every year, and 3 corners and 3 linebackers and scholarships going up to 105. We say right, Ryan.
Now, this is something I want to address because actually the meetings just got finished as far as the NCAA settlement case. And so the judge actually wants them to, rethink some stuff when it comes to roster limits. So that 105 number is not a hard and fast number yet. Like that's not something that's locked in. There's still some things that need to happen in order for that to be the true number. And I'm taking this from Ross Dellinger, who is a college football guy at Yahoo Sports, does some good work. But basically, they're trying to the judge is like they want to make sure that future athletes are bound. Like they want to have the roster limit phase in. So basically, it wouldn't be a straight 105 number immediately.
Right.
It would kind of be like it would go from 85, then to 90. It would be kind of over a semi-year process. So they will. I mean, once that roster number does go up like that, then yeah, they should take it 3 at every position, every single class.
Yes, they should. Well, before we get to the other half of our show, get your business, product, service, or personal brand to the next level by partnering with the voice of college football. Let's discuss how you also can reach your target market. Check out the experience with one of our current partners, the Win Agency, posted here on the screen. We are here to deliver for you. Contact us at sponsorships at vocfb.com. Again, that is sponsorships at vocfb.com today.
So I want to talk about some of the comments that came out of the press conference today. The coaches got to talk today, and it sounds like, and I kind of want to go I want to talk about the wide receiver room a little bit, because Quincy Porter has made some moves, and you and I have talked about Quincy Porter a lot, and we really like this freshman. And it sounds like, Brian Hartline basically is he's really impressed with what he's done so far. And even Ryan Day mentioned, he's like, hey, if he keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to play a lot of football. Like that's essentially what he said. In fact, here's the exact quote that he talked about, because Porter was the first freshman to lose his stripe this year. Like he's already lost it, the first true freshman. He basically said, if he can keep playing like that, he's going to find himself playing a lot of football this year. So we don't like to get those black stripes off too early for the freshman, but he earned it, especially in competitive live day like that, to make some of those catches. I like how gritty he was, how competitive he was, and he's showing toughness, making those contested physical catches. To me, it sounds like they got another dude. That's all I need to hear.
Let me tell you what, man. So, by the way, when they took that photo, did Bryson kind of look out of place to you?
Did who look out of place?
Bryson.
Yeah, look, I think he's out of place on the roster. But, it is what it is.
He's got talent. He's got talent. So I also had Quincy Porter, because we didn't put this in our notes. I also had Quincy Porter down here. Ryan Day called him gritty, tough, and said he could find himself playing very early.
Yep.
Clearly, we got it.
Yeah, and you know what? He doesn't make comments like that very often. He saves those for basically Jeremiah. And that's about it.
That's about it. That's about it. No, first off, I'm proud of Quincy Porter. Came in, put your head down, bust your ass. That's what you're supposed to be doing as a true freshman. And again, for guys that aren't, if you watch this or you're here now, if you're from the team up north and you don't know what the black stripe means, getting that off this early as a true freshman is not an easy thing to do. It is not. And so, heck, we have guys from last year that just got their stripe taken off. So I think it says a lot about him, not so much as a player, but him as a young man, as a teammate. And I look forward to seeing him. We got a season up ahead, but it is almost impossible for me not to think ahead in 2 years or next year. When you're talking, you're muted. Are you muted?
Yeah, I was muted because I was drinking. But thinking about Chris Henry Jr. coming in too. Is that where your head's going?
Yeah, no. It's usually people say the Twin Towers. No, we got 3 of them.
Yeah, well, and you know what? Day even talked today about, or Heartline specifically mentioned that he was asked about Carnell Tate and Brandon Ennis, and he had some good things to say about Ennis as well. And I know we've talked about him too. It talked about those two guys specifically being the leaders in the receiver room. He basically said, I would say Tate and Ennis have been the most outspoken in the room, and they're doing a good job. Those would be the two guys that jump out, in my room. So the wide receiver room, it's going to be great as it always is, and I can't wait to see it.
There's 3 things you can guarantee in life: death, taxes, and Ohio State keeping a wide receiver in the room. Those are the 3 things I know will always happen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Some other stuff I wanted to, talk about that came out from the presser today. Day specifically addressed the defensive tackles. And I know we have talked about, look, Ohio State loses a lot from last year's team, but they are replacing their entire defensive line. And the defensive tackle position is something that, I'm a little bit concerned about. And this is what he had to say about him. So there's been flashes, but in order for us to play defense like we did last year, we're going to need those guys to step up more than they have. So that's something that's a little bit concerning for me, that he doesn't seem to think that these guys are as far along as he wants them to be in the spring. So what are your thoughts on that? Because I know that the defensive tackles, at least I have been relatively concerned about those. I know you've been a little bit less concerned about the defensive line, but what are your thoughts on his comments there?
So we haven't talked in the last, we haven't talked since last week. I have actually changed my whole thoughts, specifically on the defensive tackles.
Okay.
I do believe that we lack proven depth there. It is a worry for me. Edric, I have no worries about. McDonald, I don't have any big worries about. I just want to make sure Big Boy can stay on the field. He's a big kid or a big young man. I mean, after that, dude. I mean, listen, Jason Moore. We have to see it this season. We have to, and maybe it's a little early because he's a sophomore. So it's. But I don't think it's a lot to ask at Ohio State for you to show some promise at your sophomore year. I don't think that's too much to ask for. Me and you have had countless conversations about Tom Malone. From what we knew about him coming out of high school, right? Or what we know, and we're way past that now. Okay. I was on that defensive line. I think more than anyone else, he's the one that has to show up. Yep. He's the one that has to show up. Because on the outside, I mean, yeah, we can talk about Mickens. We still got to see him. But I, based off what I'm hearing from Patricia, I trust that CJ Hicks is going to be that guy. I just do. I've seen Curry enough. I mean, when it comes to the edges, I'm okay with that. Because I think we have a lot of guys.
I think the ceiling of the edges is higher, I think.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, that depends on what Edric is. I think it depends on what. Because if Edric ends up becoming because the cool thing about Edric, right, is that he's not your average defensive tackle. Like if you look at guys like Mason Graham, right, who I believe is a great defensive tackle, damn good.
No arguments.
The only concern you have with Mason Graham is that he has short arms. Guys like Edric Houston don't have that problem. You remember back with guys like Ndamukong Suh, defensive tackles that have long arms and are big, long, lean, fast. Guards can't handle them. So I think because of it, the mismatch, it may help him. But it's a concern there. He's still a true sophomore. He is.
Yeah. Look, I think as far as the defensive tackle position goes for me, I only confident in what I saw from Edric, late last year. And that's about it. Like I don't know about anybody else. We've talked about how this is put up or shut up time for Tymone Malone. There's a missing persons report out for Jason Moore. Like, is he going to do something? There's some guys out there who I want to see step up, and someone needs to step up in the middle and turn into that game record that Tyreek Williams was. Like, he was a guy who wasn't flashy, but he always was around the ball. Like, he would push the pocket back on passing plays, make the quarterback uncomfortable, and he would make it hard for guys to run up the middle. They don't seem to have a guy like that based on what Day is saying. And he's hoping that one of those guys is able to step up to do that because, as we've talked about, the edge guys, the ceiling is higher. So, I've got some questions about whether or not CJ Hicks is going to be that guy based on what we've seen from him over the course of his career so far. But they've still, I've liked what I've seen from Kenyatta. I've liked what I've seen from Caden Curry. So those are two guys that he's
gonna make a play, man. He's gonna make a play.
I hope so. I think you're right. And the defensive tackle position is worrisome. Now they've got 6 months to figure it out, but it does sound like that's something that's worrying Ryan Day right now.
No, they gotta go in the portal. They gotta go in the spring portal. They have to. They have to lead tackle.
Look, I expect them to be active in the portal, but they already went. They already were active in the portal as far as the defensive line. Like they grabbed Logan George from Utah State. Now I didn't expect him to come in and be any sort of game wrecker, but he gave them depth.
Hey, he's running with the twos, Ryan. He's running with the twos.
He is running with the twos.
I told you, man.
I am.
You think those D3 guys, man, those NAIA guys? Woo.
Look, I'm not saying I'm like shocked, but I would feel better if they had a little bit more proven depth at that spot.
No, for sure.
Yeah. So one of the other things, that was mentioned, and this is a guy we've talked about as well, is Peyton Pierce. And Matt Patricia specifically
wrote his name down too.
Yeah, I figured you did because I know how much you like him. He was singled out by Patricia saying everyone is going to feel Peyton Pierce right away. He comes downhill with a physicality that is phenomenal. He's a physical player. And he's improved as a communicator in the spring as well. So it's good to see when you describe a linebacker as physical. That is one of the attributes I like hearing when you talk about a linebacker. So what are your thoughts on Pierce possibly playing a bigger role in the defense this year?
First off, this is a good sign because we've been hearing great things about every single linebacker in that room. And that tells me that James Laurinaitis is doing exactly what he was supposed to be doing. He's doing exactly what I wish we had before he was there. And I can't wait for the future with him. And with Peyton Pierce, again, another guy who's a developmental guy coming out of high school. But clearly, he has progressed while being at Ohio State under Laurinaitis' tutelage. I think that if you look at the linebacker room, you're talking about Sonny, you're talking about Arvell, and then after that, you're like, okay, well, what's next? I mean, and you got TJ Alford, you got him, you got Riley, and you got Stover. Well, and mind you, they talked about Arvell going to the edge a little bit too, so that's something else I would love to see. But he's a great depth piece, and also you also got to remember this. Because we talk about this so many times now, and I don't want to just keep hammering it, but it's so important. With how Matt Patricia runs his defense and how multiple it is very important that you have guys that can do different things in different situations. For instance, from what we're hearing, Garrett Stover is probably the best, one of the better athletes on the team, and probably the best athlete at that position. Well, like we said, when you go to nickel, maybe you want him in the game. Maybe you do. Goal line, you do have to bring in more linebackers usually or more linemen. You need a guy that, I don't want to say headhunt, but you need a guy that can put his head in there and make a tackle and make a play. And it sounds like they believe that Peyton Pierce has made that jump. At least he's or he's going towards it. And that's all you want to hear. Again, I don't know if he's going to be playing a lot this season. But by your sophomore year, I want to hear that you're making these steps towards being a player that can get on the field at Ohio State. Because the only reason, outside if you're talking walk-ons or maybe a two-star guy, if Ryan Day or any of these coaches give you a scholarship to play at Ohio State University, they believe that there's a chance that you can be on the field for them for them. I'm happy to hear Peyton Pierce is that guy. He's that guy that can be on the field at Ohio State. And that's not easy to do.
No. And it's good to see that he is, as you said, been making progress and is someone that they feel comfortable enough talking about and, possibly being able to put on the field, if in a three linebacker situation, in a goal line situation, in the different situations that Patricia specifically wants to put out there. So I also want to talk about one other person.
Real quick, before we move on, I was going to go through these real quick. Because, Mike, what am I being realistic about now?
He's talking about the defensive line. That's when that comment came in.
Because I know sometimes I say, half-ass crazy things sometimes. So I was just curious.
Yeah, no, I saw that pop up when you're talking about that.
And then from Doreen, shout out to our member Doreen, everyone. Again, you, Doreen. We really truly do. The Queen Doreen. And again, everyone, you go press join, you can see the tiers that we have there. JT wasn't short, the Blocko Club, and also we don't give a damn, and you know the rest. So go ahead and check that out. But appreciate you, Doreen. Robert, if Sharon was tough, I had to do this. If Sharon was tough, he would not have cried real tears on national television over another grown man. But it was funny. I always said that. I just, it's hilarious to me. But see, Mike. Oh, Buckeye Brigade tomorrow, everybody, with myself, Mike, who's here, Mike Wilson, my guy Clean Mike on Twitter. Also, Juck on Bucks, Chris Drew, Brandon Moses from Scoop. We're all going to be there tomorrow at 7, so make sure to be there. it's always a fun, wild time. Then Sage, Ohio State is as good as our last game. Oh.
It's true.
Isn't that the truth?
So there's one other guy I wanted to talk about here.
We got one more. from the captain himself, Mark Rogers. Everyone make sure to like this video. Make sure to comment on it. It helps out a lot to get it into the algorithm. We would really appreciate it. And also expand the community that we have here at Ohio State, the Boys College Football.
Absolutely. So the last player that I wanted to talk about that Ryan Day mentioned is Jeremiah Smith, who's already the best player on this team and who's already one of the best players in college football.
No. He is.
I think he is, but I'm willing to be talked off that ledge by someone else. But I think he is. So this is what Day, he was asked on where he can improve. And this is what Day had to say about it. Everybody has to continue to get better from when they're on the field. For Jeremiah, it's like, how do I get that 1% better every day? A lot of it is learning how to become a good teammate, learning how to encourage other guys around him playing winning football, which he does, but you're starting to see him come out of his shell a little bit. So basically it sounds like Day is saying, hey, look, I don't know if you can possibly get any better actually on the field, like with your skills and catching the ball and running and all that shit. But we want you to be a little bit more of a leader now that it's your second year in the program. So I think that's where Day is looking for some improvement there, which I think is fair. And, he's incredible. That's all I got. There's no other word for it.
I always wondered, how the kid. And you can always get better, of course, right? If Deion Sanders can find a way to get better every day, you can too. But Ryan talked a lot about trying to find that 1% every day, and that's not always easy to do. When you're physically gifted, sometimes you might have a tendency to just lean on that and think that's all you have to do. Where it's comforting to hear that that's not him. They talk like he is the hardest worker on the team. He kind of has that Marvin Harrison Jr. work ethic. Marvin was always at the juggle sheet. I'm pretty sure he had one in his apartment. So it's for a guy like I almost said Julio Jones. For a guy like Jeremiah Smith, right?
JJ's better.
It's again, you gotta find that 1%. You got, and also sometimes, man, you gotta want to be great. Some guys always say they want to be it. They talk about it, but they don't put the work in. They don't, or they just don't have the, they just don't have the want to. And I love the fact that Jeremiah has that. And also, when you see everyone crowding around him looking like Tiger Woods at the Masters, none of that gets into his head. He's so far. I think it's so weird. He's so far removed from that because usually we hear about the diva wide receiver. That ain't him. He goes about this game like a linebacker. And it's encouraging to see. You gotta love it. It's God, I love you for.
Yeah, and to think that he could possibly even get better, like on the field than he already is now, is a scary proposition to the rest of college football because he's already damn good. And whoever wins the quarterback, whoever wins the starting role at quarterback, I think that's what Day just wants to see. He just wants to be able to, hey, you don't have to be the hero, just kind of like how Will Howard was last year. You don't have to carry the team. Just get the ball out to these guys and let these Ferraris, race down the street. That's what they're looking for.
So there was something I wanted to bring to your front door.
Yep.
Austin Cerebell. Now, he's been getting first team reps, most of them, at right tackle. Yeah. Now, I've heard some people say, they prefer him at right guard, at that Tegra position, where Tegra is. Now, I haven't heard much about Tegra lately, okay? And I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. And we could look at that Phillip Daniels. And Phillip Daniels, he has to progress from what he was at Minnesota. Early on we talked about, you said that we probably have more. Phillip has played at a higher in the Big Ten where Aniyan was coming from Rice. Well, it looks like Aniyan he secured his spot.
And Daniels last year, he only started like 4 games. So It wasn't like it was a huge sample size.
And, I believe that from left tackle to center, we know who's going to start. It's going to be Aniyan, Luke Montgomery, Carson Hinsman. What do you think?
The only question there would be Montgomery, but I think that's pretty locked in. Yes, I would generally agree.
From right guard to right tackle, what do you think that's going to end up looking like?
I think by the fall, it'll probably be Tegra, and they've been working Saraveld out of both tackle spots, so they must like him at tackle. So I'm going to say Saraveld at right tackle. I was hoping that Daniels was going to show a little bit more up to this point. And I was, kind of hoping he was going to go ahead and just grab that right tackle spot. And I just don't know what necessarily is holding him back. But I am glad that at least Ethan has started to. Yeah, it almost seems like there's no question that he's starting a left tackle, which is good to see. He's making that jump from, a pretty low level of football up to playing for the defending national champions. So that's good to see. But I don't really see in Saraveld what they see in Saraveld. But that's maybe why I'm not coaching, and that's why I'm here talking with you instead.
Yeah. Look, man. He won Iron Buckeye. And is there a chance that he made? Is there a chance that he made whatever percentage of a jump it is? Is there a chance that he made his jump? Yeah, there is. And I'll say this. If you're telling me Tegra's the right guard next season, I can live with it. What I can't live with. Okay, well, I want to say live with it. I saw your face, and I'm like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, let's go ahead and
From right guard to right tackle, I don't think that we're in a bad situation. I don't at all.
Who do you think is going to start?
Tegra and Daniels.
Okay. So you're holding out hope that Daniels will get that. Now, that's who I hope will start. Yeah. Although I am perfectly fine if they want to switch Tegra out with Saraveld, in that spot. Those two guys I am very unsure about.
Right now, this is just blindly doing this, just, assuming. Who do you think is better right now, Saraveld or Tegra?
Based on what the coaching staff sees, it seems like they think Saraveld is better. I think it's a toss-up. I truly think it's a toss-up. You know what? No. I will say I think Saraveld's a little bit better because Tegra kind of fell apart there in the CFP, and they moved Saraveld over there multiple times. And I think it's Saraveld, but I don't think it's a huge margin.
Yeah. I don't know, but I really don't know because I haven't been the biggest fan of Saraveld. I haven't been the biggest fan of Tegra. I call him big for nothing all the time. But Phillip Daniels, he hasn't done enough to lose or earn my trust yet.
Yeah.
So, now I will tell you, you take the good with the bad. I don't know how to take you getting thrown around like a rag doll by a true freshman. I don't know how to take that. I don't know how to take that. Now, on the other side of that, Riley Pettyjohn, man, you are a complete Mike, he's in here right now. He's been on that for a while now. What do you think about Riley?
Fans of him?
What do you think about Riley right now?
I think he's good. We talked about how he's someone who could possibly fight for some playing time at the linebacker position, when we kind of did a rundown in the defense. I think this kind of sums it up pretty well. I think, I think this sums it up pretty well. Man, you keep doing it at the same time I do.
Oh,
so
go ahead.
Yeah, I that's pretty much accurate.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a really good player for him. I just don't know if he's going to see a ton of the field like right away. But next year, like 2026, that dude's going to be on the field a lot.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Anything else you want to talk about here before we get out of here? And I'm going to go watch the last college basketball game of the year.
Yeah. Just as a reminder, everybody, tomorrow the Buckeye Brigade again at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then on Wednesday, the world famous Buckeye Show with my guy Mike and Terry T. You can find them. Mike, that starts at I want to say 7. Mike, put it in the chat for me, please. I want to say 7, but I don't want to ruin that right now. I want to make sure we get these times out because that's what everyone needs to tune into. And then on Thursday, we have the call-in show at 8 o'clock here. Thank you, Mike. 7:30 for the world famous Buckeye Show. It's a blast. Terry and Mike are awesome. But again, everyone check out the memberships. You can they had them on the bottom a little bit ago. If you don't have to do it, but we truly appreciate your contributions. And again, we thank you for joining the community. We really appreciate it. Make sure to give it out to everyone else.
Absolutely, for sure. And as far as we are concerned, we will be back on Thursday at 8 o'clock. Those are the memberships right there. So go ahead and join us if you can. And Doreen, go Gators. I'm sorry, not go Gators. Go Cougs. Go Cougs. So that's all I got to say about that. We will see you guys on Thursday at 8. OH.
Ayo.